Welcome to Science Talk with me, Sally Science, and my niece,
Abby!
This is my niece, Abby, and Susie can't be with us today because quite honestly, she's a little grumpy. Very grumpy, actually, yes. See, we've been on quarantine now for a month here in California, and well, it's also been raining, and so we're just all kind of having our moments, and you probably are too, and that's okay. But we thought that we would just give Susie a little time off. So, luckily, I'm quarantined with my sister and her two children, and this is her daughter, Evie. My sister's wonderful. She's smarter than me, nicer than me, more beautiful than me, funnier than me. She's pretty amazing, isn't she?
Very.
She's very amazing. So Evie is going to help me out today. I also want to say sorry we haven't been with you in a few days because of the rain. We've been unable to do some of the things we wanted to do, and also have had a little trouble getting supplies because of the quarantine. So as you can see, we're in our garage, and we have a crime scene set up behind us, which you listen and stay focused because we are likely going to do a crime scene on on Science Talk coming up in a couple weeks where you can interact live on Facebook. So keep watching for that. We're doing it with a test group right now, and it's going really, really well. Okay, so today we're going to talk about chemical changes. And I just want to start off with a little bit of review. Evie, I know you watched last time.
Yes.
So we talked about how a chemical change is when two substances come together and create something new. So something that wasn't there before is created. Now there's several signs of a chemical change, and let's see if we can name a few of them. So when two things come together and form
A different color.
a new color, that's a chemical change.
If it's a different heat.
A change in temperature, that's a chemical change.
Let's see. Different shape.
Not usually shape, but a change in smell. A new odor is formed. Gas bubbles. If gas bubbles are formed, that is something new, something that wasn't there before. Also, if we get a light, we learned, that's called chemiluminescence. Very cool. If a light is formed when two things combine, like a glow stick, then that is a chemical change. So let's see if I got them all. Change in color, temperature, odor, light forms, bubbles, and there's a few more, but likely if you see one of those things happen, it's a chemical change. So we're going to show you a couple chemical changes you can do at home. And the first thing we're going to do is make some toothpaste for our stuffed animals. Now, I don't know about you, but we haven't been brushing our teeth all that much in our house. And I'm talking about the humans.
And especially this elephant. So its mommy would like us to make some special toothpaste for that we think it will like.
Yes, so we would like for humans and stuffed animals to start brushing their teeth a little more in this household. But today, we're going to make some elephant toothpaste. Now, let me be very clear. This toothpaste should never go in your mouth as a human. Okay?
Only in elephants.
Only in stuffed elephants and other stuffed animals. Okay, so I'm going to start off. I've got several things here. I've got some dish soap here. I've got some hydrogen peroxide. And let me stop and say, hydrogen peroxide is in great demand right now because Miss Rona's here visiting. And so unless you have plenty to spare, you don't want to waste it, okay? So we had some, so we decided we would do this experiment. And it only takes a half a cup. But hydrogen peroxide is kind of a big deal right now. So, and in this cup, I just have warm water. And I'm going to go ahead. Can you go ahead, Evie, and feel and just tell them it's warm, not hot?
Yeah, it's warm.
It's a little, and to be quite honest, it's not that warm. I'm going to mix it with yeast. Now, if the water's too hot, it will kill your yeast. So you have to be careful that the water is warm, but not hot. So here's what I'm going to do. I'm going to
Can I stir it?
pour it in there. Yes. And I'm going to let Evie stir it up really good. Now, yeast, and our sweet memo mailed this to us because I've had trouble finding it here. But this yeast, you don't like the smell?
I don't like this one.
Okay, yeah, it smells funny, doesn't it? Yeast is often used when you make bread or cinnamon rolls or something like that. And it acts as what we call a catalyst, which means it makes stuff happen. It makes stuff happen quicker. So the reason your bread will rise is because of the yeast. So yeast is a big deal, and this one's called rapid instant yeast. I think any kind is fine. We have some other yeast that a friend of ours, Miss Erin, gave to us that we're saving to make cinnamon rolls with. But we are gonna use this one today. And so when you mix yeast up with water, I'm just gonna give it another stir and get those lumps out. But good job, Evie.
Thank you.
We wanna really make sure we have no lumps for this experiment. And we're just gonna stir it really good. And the yeast needs to sit in this warm water for just a few minutes. So while we're letting this yeast just kind of do its thing over here, we're going to sit it over here and we're going to get the rest of the experiment ready, okay? And if the yeast isn't quite ready when we're ready, then we maybe will do another experiment. Actually, let's do another experiment first, because I think this one's so cool. Okay, so I have in this little jar baking soda, just like that over there, baking soda.
The funnel.
Yeah. And so this is just baking soda. And baking soda is so cool because when it interacts with certain things, it causes a chemical reaction. And I'm gonna show you something. I want you to tell me out loud at your house how you know this is a chemical reaction. What do you see form? Okay, so I think I'm gonna take some of this food coloring here and let Evie mix a little bit of orange food coloring into this little cup, and this little cup is vinegar. Now, a lot of times when you see kids do a volcano, this is exactly what's inside of that volcano that makes it erupt and look like lava. This is a very safe experiment for you to try at home. And a fun way to try it is by putting baking soda in different shaped containers. And not only in different shaped containers, but different amounts of baking soda and different amounts of vinegar. So you can put it like in a little dropper, like a little medicine dropper, and do just a little tiny bit like this, or you can put a larger amount in here. But I want you to watch what happens when we pour the vinegar into the baking soda. So Evie so cleverly created me a funnel because we didn't have one here. And so we just cut, or I should say Evie just cut the bottom off of a water bottle, and we're gonna use this as a funnel. So we're gonna pour this in here, and I want you to watch what happens when, keep pouring. I'm sorry, I moved the funnel.
It's fine.
Look at that.
Oh my gosh.
Camera girl, are you getting a nice close view? So what do you see happening that tells us we've had a chemical reaction?
Bubbles are forming.
Bubbles are forming, and those are gas bubbles. I'm gonna now swish it around a little bit and see if we can find a few more bubbles in there.
I think I see one.
I think there's a few. I wonder if I take the end of my spoon and stir it like this and I can get some more. Because I see the baking soda on the bottom.
I think we actually have some right here too.
Yeah, I think we do too. Just a little bit on the table, totally fine. Yeah. Okay, so Evie, did that remind you when it started going, did that remind you when you open anything that if that happens?
Yes, soda.
You know, like when you open like a soda, like a 2 liter or a Coke, and it goes, and all those gas bubbles come out? That's kind of the same principle, except for we did it with baking soda and vinegar. Very safe to play with at home. Okay, now let's go back over here and work on our toothpaste for our stuffed animals. So we're gonna start off with a water bottle, and we're gonna get our funnel. And now this is gonna be a little trickier because they're the same size, but I'm gonna hold it. I'm gonna let Evie pour. So she's first gonna pour in some hydrogen peroxide very carefully and slowly. Yes, great job, you're getting it all in there. Good, you can go a little faster. Good, a little faster. A little faster. Perfect. Okay, now this is just dish soap. So it's a 1/4 cup of dish soap. Looks like I might have a little more than a 1/4 cup in there, but that's okay. Yep, I'm gonna pour that in. Okay, now.
Did I get it all?
Yeah, I think you did. Now we are going to put a little bit of food coloring. So, Evie, I want to stop and ask you something. We've now mixed in here hydrogen peroxide and dish soap. Would you rather make it in this container or this container?
This container, because I feel like it will explode more.
I kind of think so too. I was sort of thinking about doing it twice, but we only have enough yeast for one. So, but I don't know if all that yeast is going to fit in here.
Wait, does all of it need to fit in there?
Well, I think we should try it. Let's do this. Let's keep this one over here. We're going to keep this bottle over here. I just happen to have more hydrogen peroxide and more dish soap. So let's do it. We're going to try the same experiment in 2 different containers. So go ahead and pour the hydrogen peroxide. 1/2 cup of hydrogen peroxide.
And split.
And this is 1/4 cup of dish soap. Okay, now, Evie, would you like to add some food coloring?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, great. What color would you like to add?
And blue in honor of Susie Science.
Oh, in honor of her cousin Susie. I'm gonna cry. Okay, there you go.
How many should I do?
I think just a couple of drops, and then we're gonna swish it around. Perfect. Now, Susie, while you're doing that, would you like to do a shout out to all your cousins out there that are probably watching? You do it.
Yes.
Just swish it like this.
So I have 10. I think we have 10. I'm sorry if I missed you. But and so I think we have Hannah, Joanna, Jordan, Brock and Bryce, Haley, Zachary, Gracie, and Kennedy and Kenneth.
Yay! So a big shout out to all the cousins out there. I love having this little cousin with me today for sure. Okay, so we've now just kind of swished that around. Let's go ahead and do this one too. So go ahead and do a shout out there on TV. What color do you want us to do this one?
I think I had yellow.
I think I heard yellow too. Okay, so let's do yellow. You want to do the honors?
Yes, please.
So this is just food coloring. It's the kind that we happen to have. Okay, great. Oh, she put a lot. Okay,
I
swish
like
that
that
one.
yellow.
Swish that one around for me, honey.
That's cool.
Really good. Swish it around really good. This is making a really interesting color because of the dish soap.
It's like vomit.
It looks like vomit. Vomit. Yes,
Vomit.
vomit.
Have you not played Bean Boozled?
I have never played Bean Boozled.
Don't play it.
Does vomit make you think of Bean Boozled?
Yes.
Tell me why.
So there's jelly bean. It's buttery popcorn and vomit and
Did you
Vomit.
eat vomit?
yes.
Oh!
Yes.
Okay. Well, like I said, she's my sister's child. Not my child. She's not my child. Okay. Now, I think we need to get back a little bit because I have a feeling that this is going to cause a bit of a reaction. So let's go ahead and do it in this bottle first. Susie, I'm so sorry, love. Evie, would you hold that for me?
Yes.
Okay, so here we go.
Hope it
Gonna
doesn't
make
get-
sure none's in the bottom. Let's see what happens.
Woo!
Look at that.
Oh my gosh, that looks very
Would
cool.
you look at that?
That
It
looks
is,
cool.
look, it's still going. If you can get a little closer, camera girl, they can see it's still
my gosh.
going.
It's going all over.
It is still going. Do you guys see? Now look,
It's just the most pretty
what
explosion ever.
happened that made us know it was a chemical change? And it's still going.
Wow, that's cool.
Eddie, what happened? What do we have over here?
Bubbles, gas bubbles.
We have gas bubbles. Now, I want to go ahead and do this one too, and then I'm going to explain to you why this happened.
We can-
And then we're going to brush their teeth.
Here, let's get
Just once again, this is not to brush your teeth with, because if you brush your teeth with it, it will taste like soap. It is to brush your stuffed animal's teeth with.
So cool.
Let's go ahead and do this one too. I think this one will work too. If I'm going to go ahead and do this one here, it's probably going to make a mess, so let's move our stuff out of the way.
You want me to come on the other side?
You know what, can you, and I just, if you can't see, this one is still going. Okay, so, okay, Evie, can you, I'm gonna hold this. Can you pour it, you think?
I think so.
Okay.
My hands.
So we're not wearing gloves because we're not using anything that's dangerous. But gloves might have been a good idea. Pour fast, pour fast, pour fast, pour fast. Okay, let's see what happens here.
Hope I put
Look at
fast
that bubble. Oh my
Oh my gosh,
word.
look at that. I want to pop
Look
it.
at
Okay,
those.
this one's cool. This one's cool.
There, let me turn it.
It's very different. Not mommy.
Now that does look like a volcano, doesn't it?
That is
It would be very cool to build a volcano around this and to do a volcano eruption.
What if we like mix the colors? I'm gonna see.
You know what I know? It's definitely a
cool.
chemical change because I see a ton of gas bubbles. Do you guys see all these gas bubbles? They are everywhere. And Evie's just having a good time mixing them
Woo!
together. And you know what's interesting is they're kind of each keeping their own separate color as she's mixing.
Well, that's green.
Yellow and blue makes green.
Oh.
That's right. That's why your hair turns green in a swimming pool, by the way. Did you know that?
If you're blonde.
If you're blonde. Blonde hair. Do you know what color chlorine is?
Green.
It's not.
Blue.
It's blue. So yellow hair plus blue chlorine makes green hair.
Can you wash your hands with this?
I don't think that might not be a good idea. I'm not quite sure. Okay, that's okay for now though. Just keep your hands right there. She's a little crazier than Susie. Okay, so I don't know if you can see this, but this is still coming out of the bottle. Now, if you used a type of hydrogen peroxide, we're only using this one right here, which is 3%. You can get a hydrogen peroxide that is much, much higher percent. And if you do, it will literally shoot straight up and out. It's very cool. But that hydrogen peroxide is a bit dangerous to play with as a kid. And it's also a bit hard to get your hands on right now, or we would have shown that to you, of course, with safety goggles and stuff on. So let me explain to you why this chemical reaction occurs, okay?
See the science?
Yes,
I
sir.
think I could go wash my hands.
I think it's a great idea. And maybe don't trip on your clothes.
I don't know how to open the door.
Okay, let me pause. Be right back. Let me open the door for this little loved one. There you go. You're welcome. Okay, let me explain to you why this happens. So, we combine hydrogen peroxide, which is normally found in a dark container like this. There's a reason it's found in a dark container like this. If I look on the back, let's see if it says broken down. It just says hydrogen peroxide. But this is made up of hydrogen and oxygen particles. And the reason it's in a dark container is because light or heat will often break it down more quickly. Now, what I wanted to do was break it down so that I could produce a chemical reaction. And do you know what did that for us? The catalyst, the yeast. So here's what happened. The yeast, when it was combined with the hydrogen peroxide, it broke the hydrogen peroxide down into hydrogen and oxygen very quickly. And what we're seeing here is little bubbles filled with oxygen. Isn't that cool? So by using yeast, it just made it happen more quickly. And this yeast would work with any kind of hydrogen peroxide, but this is the safe way. So if you have hydrogen peroxide at home, then this is a safe experiment for you to do, of course with your mother's approval, and somewhere you don't mind getting a little bit messy. Okay, so different containers all works. So I hope you've enjoyed this episode of Science Talk
I know, I
with
should.
me and my niece. Get over here and let me give you a kiss. Oh, she's so adorable. So I hope you will join us next time, which will be next week when we will be doing a couple more chemical changes for you that you can also do at home. We love you. Thank you for being with us. Bye. Oh, sorry.
One second.
Oh, I forgot to brush their teeth.
Here you go. Okay, here you go.
Yeah, okay, go brush their teeth. Bye, guys. Hope you enjoyed being with us today.
Bye!